This always kind of comes to mind when I'm late. I have like a thing, like I don't like being late. And a lot of times, especially when I was driving around a lot, there'd be those like unavoidable, you're gonna be late, traffic is uncooperative and there's nothing you can do. But the way it kind of can amp you up, you know, I feel like if when I'm driving and I notice that I'm like not gonna make it there, you know, you start getting closer to the steering wheel, your whole body position tends to morph forward. And this, you know, kind of this posture talk that I'll often talk about, that makes your heart rate go up and all the anxiety kind of pathways get triggered. So it's something like knowing I'm, you know, short on time, my mind's buzzing, I'm a little behind schedule. I've learned to remind myself to like sit back. Like as if you had something behind you, because it can be such a subtle change, maybe not subtle, but such a small change. Like you pull your chin forward, or take your head back, but that really has a big difference signal to your nervous system. So as you sit up tall like this, it's an image I think of for meditation. Like imagine you had some wall to support yourself, and that you could lean back more than the tendency that we all will have to curl forward. So close your eyes, take a few breaths as you find that tall posture. And when the head is right over your shoulders, if you were to turn your head side to side, the neck should feel very relaxed, like your head itself should feel light. It's just the way that we're lining up all the parts. And then a couple breaths, softer skin, more relaxed eyes. Bring your hands together in front of your heart. And so that example I just gave of like one of the elements, like I became aware through practicing yoga of some of my like tendencies of what happens in your body, in your mind when you have to deal with a stressor. And what are the changes you can make in your body, in your breath, in your outlook that can positively affect that. So always this feeling into the back side of your body, even here as you sit, as if you're pulling your air more into the back of your body. And just picturing that back side of you in order to maintain a little more fullness and awareness there. And then we'll sing. So 3 ohms in one round of the invocation. Take a deep breath. Prapanchaya Shantaya Niralambaya Tejase Om You can bow your head, release your hands, and open your eyes. And then we'll start on hands and knees, all fours. Spreading your fingers wide as you warm up your wrists. And you keep the fingertips heavy, pull the center of the palm away from the floor so there's a tautness in the palms on that underside. Yeah, and then change the hands, work it all the way through there. One of the things you can check is on the underside of your forearm, the muscles here should be tight when you engage your hands, versus if you relax and kind of collapse, you'll be able to, those muscles get a little softer. And the opposite, on the top of your forearm, that will be softer. Once you've done those, back of the hand down to the floor as well. And then down dog when you're ready for it, and take whatever shake out of your wrist feels good. So you're moving slowly as you get going here. Waiting for your breath to feel relaxed as you breathe deeply and fully. And to use, enough engagement and effort, but not too much. It's got to be maintainable is the idea here. Like the way you engage has to be at a level that you can hang on to so that it can't be max effort on a pose like downward dog. So where you can, you soften with your breath. You try to let the skin not grip so tightly. Good. And then take your right leg up to the sky and hold there as you stretch back through that leg and down through the arms. Bring your right foot all the way forward into a lunge. Come on up, find your balance. Pausing as you get set to make sure front foot is heavy, back leg is strong, and that you can breathe nice and full through your torso. And your arms can go up when you're ready for it. Yeah. As I always will say, there's the first thing is not to grip and squeeze so much. It's kind of to relax and see where you are. Then you add that strength as needed. The common ones, the heavier in the front heel, more power and lift in your back leg. And then a big, huge inhale as you reach and stretch up. Keep your front heel heavy. Bring your hands back to the floor. Walk them to the left. Go a little out. And then walk your hands forward, staying up on fingers. So keep your front knee right over your ankle, but lift your hips higher and higher. So you're creating this lift and this separation as the back thigh drives up. Keep your tail pointing up towards the ceiling, and then stretch through the legs. Press forward through the arms. Bring the back knee down to the floor. And now take that lunge and just lunge it forward. If you're a little tight there, you can work in and out of it. But trying to get the knee more over the toes, the back of the knee more closed. And you can even get yourself down to forearms like we'll do often. I fall victim to you guys who are the ones that are here in the room so consistently, know all of this stuff. So a little more freedom for you to explore and play. I still will give you, it's funny because you'll still hear cues differently even if you've heard the instructions, 100 times. But there's something empowering, kind of start to figure it out in your body, do the things that work well for you. especially as you're getting going here. One more breath. Oh, good. And then step all the way back to downward dog. And just notice the change between your legs after a couple of poses on one. As you inhale, roll forward to the top of a push-up, plank position. Make the fingertips strong and lower all the way down. Keep clawing. And then lift your shoulders, then your chest. Cobra. To go deeper, if you bend the elbows and you kind of slink yourself lower, then take your shoulders back. And then you can see if you can curl up a little more. But usually, as you hold longer, you'll block the shoulders. So down, shoulders back, just letting stuff move. And then back to down dog. Take the left leg up to the sky and reach back through that leg in this stretch, in this side. Good, and then big step all the way forward into a lunge. Come on up. So you can even, at first you could take your toes off the mat. If you lift them, it helps you to become more aware of what's going on, where the weight is in the arch of the foot or in the bones of your foot. But then you do want to bring your toes and press them back down. And even just the subtlety of that, there's something different. Can you make the arches of your foot, and there's an inner and an outer arch, rise up by the way you push your toes down? It's different. If you lift your toes again, that lifts your arch, but it's not the same. And toes go down, you can turn on muscles in through your calves and all the way up the ankle. And then take the arms up and hold for a breath. If you start doing that, I know when I started to learn kind of how this works in the foot, my soleus would cramp all the time, that deep calf muscle, because I wasn't, it's like a muscle I wasn't used to using that, in an isometric way. But it is this way that you can grip the mat and pull up as you open, and your balance should improve a ton if you can maintain that. So from there, hands back to the floor, walk them over to the right a little bit, keeping your front knee over the front ankle, just make your hips lift to create that space. You can take your back foot and wiggle it further back to make it more challenging. But create that lift by the way you drag your front and back foot towards one another and creating that height. Keep the hips high, stretch back down through the legs and forward through the arms. Oh, good. And then lower your back knee down and take that lunge deeper forward, seeing if you can get the hamstring to touch the calves or the back of this front knee to close up. And again, work your way down, figure out where you need it. So even here, if you can get the subtlety of pressing the metatarsals down, the toes down, and being able to pull the arches up, pull a bunch of this muscular energy up your leg, even while you stay down in this shape. And visually, you may not know, see a whole lot of change, but you should feel it. What you're asking the body to do will turn up the intensity of that. Good. All right, and then make your way all the way back to downward dog. Inhale forward to the top of a push-up, and then all the way to the floor. So lift your shoulders onto your back, slide forward as you come up. The idea here, people that get real quick on straightening your elbows, you block again. So if you bend and you slink down, take the shoulder blades more onto your back, and then try to propel your chest forward and up by dragging your hands back. And it's normal. You get tired and you'll default to this. So you can bend, slither your chest further down, retract your shoulder blades again. And then all the way back to downward dog. Bend your knees, either walk or jump to the front of your mat. A couple breaths as you fold down here, pointing the toes forward, a couple deep breaths. Remain down on your feet, lift your chest and come all the way up to stand. Take a big breath, big reach up tall, and then arms back down by your sides. So sit down into a squat, bend the knees, take your hips back. And the same thing in the feet and the toes, right? I think about this because I was taught to lift your toes when I was new. They were trying to get your feet to engage and they'd say lift and spread your toes. And of course, we're learning more and more about biomechanics and how a lot of this stuff works. So it's no wonder that when I learned a lot of this stuff, it's different now, or we know more. But again, see if you can get that feeling of the way the toes push down and are actually gripping without it changing the weight on the ridge of your foot. You still want those just as heavy. And then you draw the arches up. You draw even your inner thigh muscles and your pelvic floor muscles up. Lift and open your chest. You can take the arms over your head. But so much is just trying to learn to hold all those actions starting in the feet and building up the legs. As you exhale, fold down, touch the floor. Step your left foot back, lunge, and then come on up. So you should be in a right foot forward lunge. Arms to the sky when you're ready. Toes to the floor as you reach up. Good. So then lean forward, step into that front leg, seeing if you can keep the engagement still going in that bottom foot, in that standing foot. Your hands can come to the top of the thigh to help, or you could stretch them over your head or out by your sides. Again, you were drawing energy up your leg, but at a level that you can still breathe comfortably, still hold that fullness inside your body. So come all the way up. Take your left ankle, cross it over your right knee, like that, and then sit back and down into a little squat shape. You can put some weight on the top of the thighs there, and you can start to fold deeper. Hands could come all the way to the floor, but keep your standing leg bent so you're flexing your hip joint deeply, like you're trying to essentially get your chest all the way down onto your shin. And if you can actually get there, if you're really close, chest is close to the chin, try to slide your butt back more, lengthen the top of the head forward. You're just effectively putting it into the hips even a little more. Good. And then come all the way back up. Shake that leg out. Right back down into another little squat. Toes to the floor. Sit back. And then open your chest. Again, whatever arm positions you want. Even I'm trying to play with this idea that no matter the lower body stuff stays the same, even when you add whatever changes to the upper body. That's tricky because you're juggling more things at the same time. So toes down, hips back, even just a buoyancy through your ribcage and torso. As you exhale, fold back down, chest towards your knees. And then step your right foot back, straight leg lunge. Come on up. Yeah, so left foot should be in front. Toes, arch lifts, and then reach up and stretch. Like a good strong action in that front leg, that kind of connection is what will help make all the moves forward, all these transitions even easier. So think, you gotta hold that. Take your arms forward, step into the front leg. You're doing it from here. That bottom leg pulls the thigh bone deeper into the hip. And the hands can be on the thigh. The hands could reach over your head. It's like totally normal that the brain's got to work to feel this. The ways we're asking these smaller muscles to work may be a challenge. And then you're coming up from there, cross your right ankle over your knee, like a little figure 4, sit back and squat here. Taking your time to work as deeply down into it as you can. If you can bring your chest towards your shin, you can do that. Your hands down towards the floor. And man, that is why the blocks can be a nice intermediate point, so you have somewhere to get used to it. Because if you go like too far and you're like way too much at your limit, that resistance, that struggle is going to make this not super effective. So wherever you are, maybe even you have to back out of the depth to regain your calm breath, to soften your face and your eyes. Good. And then lift your chest, come all the way up. You can shake that leg out, release that leg. One more time, inhale, this time both arms to the sky. Big tall stretch. Exhale all the way forward and touch the floor. Step both feet back, downward facing dog. Take your right leg up to the sky. Bending the knee, add the twist. So you're going to open the knees up and try to stretch back through that lifted heel. Warrior 1, bring the right foot forward. So when you come up, you're going to put your back heel, try to spin it down to the floor. And these are all these things that get kind of confused. People try to stand on like a tightrope. That makes it harder. Like if you were standing on, like one line, you can have your heels hip distance apart or wherever your thigh distance is. And getting weight down on the inside edge of the back leg, of the back foot. As you try to come up. Maybe even you straighten your front leg a little bit so you can feel that, you can find that, and then hands clasped behind you. So if you straighten the front leg a little bit, anchor into your back leg, hold that, and try to rebend your front knee a little bit. You just kind of play that game of, can you actually keep that much direction down into the inner edge of the back heel, the back leg pressing back, and then start to bow forward into your front leg, inside of your front leg. And the hips will almost like naturally lift up, but still keep directing pressure down on the inside edge of your back heel. Try to stretch the inner thigh on that back leg further back. Think in the opening in the front leg, little by little, soft actions. It may not actually look like the actual movement, but rather just a tension release that you can feel that you're allowing to happen. Good, lift your chest. So come back up, warrior 1, take the arms now over your head. And you can always lean forward, really strong there. To go one step further, so straight arms first, palms facing each other, and then seeing if you can pull your shoulders back, armpits back, so the arms are now in line with your ears or even behind them. If you're still straight, bring your fingertips together to touch. You can kind of play. So the idea is you're holding strong and straight through the arms, trying to bring them closer eventually. So it can be this. It's hard to get past that. All that's doable. And if you have your hands really in front of your upper arms, pull your armpits back, but also push with your head into your arms a little bit as you lift and open. Keep the shoulder blades retracting, the top of the head reaching up tall. One more big inhale, push your feet down and stretch up. Good, and then you're going to unwrap the arms going down for a twist. So left hand to the floor, right hand to the sky. Your back heel could lift up. It'll be easier that way. Walk your left hand more to the left, so much that you start to like either the edge of the mat or even a little further off the mat, and take your head and your shoulders back so much away from your hips that you open up even wider. Good. And then hands to the floor, back to downward facing dog. Your option, you can go forward to plank pose and move through the vinyasa, or just a couple breaths in downward dog. Nice, guys. Shoulder blades back. Like, it's always a chance to practice those actions when you repeat these poses. Nice. And then from downward dog, take your left leg up to the sky and add the twist. Bend the knee, roll the hip open. Noticing what other changes may tend to want to happen in your body. Can you first even just notice what's going on? Push back through the heel, and then all the way forward, lunge, or warrior one. Again, so it's really helpful to take your front knee and pull it back behind your heel, so you're straightening the leg, and then see if it's not just pushing down into the floor, but it's that kind of back, kind of like you can stick your butt back, and then holding that tight through that glute on the back leg side, seeing if you can rebend into your front knee a little bit. And even as you rise up through the chest, again, it's harder and harder on that back leg. Clasp your hands behind you, tight, and drive down through the back foot. Fold forward, right inside of your legs. That movement at the inside edge of the knee on the back leg can spin more towards the back edge of your yoga mat, softening deeper, getting heavier into the front heel, taking the arms over and lengthening them. Good. So from there, you just go right to so lift your chest and come all the way back up. And see if you can take your arms and pull them back behind your head. Again, if the minute the elbows bend, you're better off just stopping there, because you're bypassing some of this movement in the shoulder blades. And then for some, you actually need to take the hands forward a little and learn to just move the shoulder joint. So, that movement of the elbows, it just adds a whole lot more play in there. Try to see if you can squeeze the arms together, push down through your hips and legs, stretch all the way up through the belly and through the shoulders, through the arms. And then open it up down for the twist. So right hand to the floor, left arm to the sky. And you can absolutely pivot that back heel up to make it a little easier on the lower body too. Good, yeah. Nice, so you can take your right hand to the right, lean back and open. You're stretching down through the legs, down through that bottom arm as you reach, as you extend back through the spine. Beautiful. Take the hands to the floor and again go back, down dog. And you got a shot at a vinyasa if you want, plank pose, etc. Or just take a few breaths in downward dog. Good, good, good. And then from down dog, back to the front of your mat for a forward fold, walk or jump. And one more big full inhale here, and then let it go. Separate your feet a little bit wider apart, interlace your hands behind you, behind your back. And then keeping the elbows bent at first, draw your shoulders towards each other, take the hands overhead, straightening your arms a little bit. Once you run out of room, see if you can bend your elbows just even a little bit and then move your shoulder blades towards each other on the upper back a little stronger. And if you get good at isolating that, you can pull the shoulders back, but check that you didn't do anything weird to your neck, that you're not tensing up your neck. And if you are able to really just retract shoulders, then to reach the arms over your head. There's a bunch of muscles that will try to do some of these actions, and we're trying to train just the right ones, like to create this movement, to create these positionings. And I know it's kind of weird to figure it out. And then push your feet down, lift your chest, come all the way up. I'll actually do these at the wall, so you guys can find a little bit of wall space. And I'll show you we'll do some shoulder opening first. Here, while you guys get set, I'll show this one and everyone can get moving. Well, that's dangerous. So, hand at shoulder height, chest nice and lifted. You can start a little away from the wall, wouldn't start right on it. And then, just that good tall posture. So you're lifting your chest up, making sure the arm that you're stretching, the one that's close to the wall, is rolled back. So it's none of this stuff, like you're not trying to just pull on the shoulder. You actually want to get that position first, and then you can wiggle around and open it up more or less. So go for that. Yeah. So as your chest, you'll feel the difference. You go closer to the wall, it'll pull you more into the pec. And as you pull further away, it tends to slide down into your biceps. But again, if you feel like you're getting really in there, like you can get your chest to the wall, see if you can come out of it a little and make your posture even more dramatically correct. Yeah, you guys look really good. Okay, other side. I think we can do this on this brick wall, maybe, yeah. Same deal. Breathe in, standing tall, and it's taking the head of your arm bone, it rolls back, and so the head of that shoulder is behind you more and more. You're setting the arm so that a lot of these muscles that we're stretching are already kind of taut, and it's usually one place I can. Like most of us, you dig into that pec minor attachment, and it is generally very tender in a lot of us. Awesome, cool. So come out of it, I'll show you, we'll do a shoulder extension. This is always a little weird. I bet you guys have done this with me at once upon a time. Fingers can point either direction. They can be down's a little easier, or up. And then you walk kind of away from the wall. And then you do this shoulder game. So you can let the shoulders go forward just so you know where that position is. So shoulders forward, then shoulders back. When you have your shoulders back, you just kind of sit down like you're squatting a little bit. Chest up, and then you can go and do this. You can kind of keep stepping. It's really lower that makes it harder, so you can kind of play around. But again, shoulders forward, shoulders back, chest lifts, then get into the stretch or go into the position. Hands can be as wide as they need to be. So play around. Strong arms. Roll the shoulders forward, then roll the shoulders back. Lift your chest. Keep that and sit down into the squat a little bit. Yeah, if it's really intense for you, just walk your hands higher up the wall and you don't have to squat very much. You just kind of lift. Well. Oh. I know, this is sometimes the yoga thing. There's easier ways to do shoulder extension stretches. Why the hell not? We mess around with goofier things in here sometimes. Okay, cool. All right, rest for a sec. So we will give you the option of crawling around on the walls today. Just basic, we're going to do the simple basic setup because we haven't been doing this a whole lot recently. Press your fingers down. Straight, strong arms, and then you're doing L pose. So it can be dog from here, walk up to the wall, and then even playing around with options of taking a leg off the floor. On these first couple, just strong hands, straight, strong arms. I'll probably give you a little more to do afterwards. So like the folks who are newer to handstand put a lot of attention on what your hands are doing, because that's important. And that's a cause of a lot of, injuries and pain in wrists and shoulders, is because the hands aren't quite involved as much as they should be. It's good. Yeah. You guys all look pretty awesome with this. There's actually a thing, women will have this carrying angle thing where like women's will be able to, they're straightening their arms, but it doesn't quite look that way. And so this is just like another little overcomplication, or not overcomplication. It's just another element that tends to complicate what the good actions of a straight arm are. So the next thing we're going to do, and you can do this down here in all fours, but you could also do it up in handstand, is stabilize the elbows. Again, visually they might not be straight, but are you bracing this elbow joint? Are your hands doing all that work? And then just being able to push up and push down. Easy enough to push up, push the ground away. What ends up happening when you melt is the elbows tend to want to bend. So that's the place to think about it. And then once you can do it there, you can do it up here. You can push the mat away and relax. All that movement is all coming out of your shoulder joint. Try it. This is a hard thing when you at least get going with this. Again, pushing the ground away, you guys are probably pretty good at. The minute you try to relax and soften back down, make sure you didn't let the elbows waver. You can even lean back more. So not even that, you're stacking your shoulders, you can put your shoulders over way behind your wrists. Yeah, I know. Yeah, exactly. You're doing a good job with that, though. Yeah. So you can just stay there, shoulders behind the wrists for a while as you lift your hips. Yeah, that's great. In a lot of ways, that gets you into your shoulders more, too. Yeah, I was just showing, people off camera that you don't have to be all stacked. You can do these things more handstand and downward dog share a lot of similarity as you're working into this. So, I know these are these are not the handstand variations that impress people. These are the handstand variations that prepare you to do handstand safely and really prepare your shoulders to handle all of this. Good. Yep. Okay. Yeah, we'll give you one more minute here so you can get one last round in of it. And then the goal as you get better at doing this is to be able to maintain that elevation of your shoulder blade, to be able to push away and be steady there, that you can actually keep that, hold that. That you're never relaxed and just jamming your shoulder joint. You're always using muscle to lift out of it, to brace the joint. Cool. All right, so once you are done with that, all we're going to do is a little forward fold against the wall. So walk yourself backside against the wall. And then fold down. giving you about a minute once you're in that pose. So start with your feet a little off the wall, but put your butt on the wall. And then as you're able to take the weight out of your hands a little bit, you can walk your feet all the way back. Basically, it's okay to use your hands to prevent you from falling forward, but you shouldn't be holding tons of weight in your arms. If you are, just step away from the wall so you're not making this quite so hard. And if, eventually when the legs get straight, when the hips and the butt are on the wall, then you can bring your feet together and you try to hold elbows and hang there. That's kind of the goal for this version. Take 2 more deep breaths. Belly draws in and the spine relaxes heavier. Good. All right. And then you can come on back, so make your way back off the wall and get set up. That's like the measure for me and my forward folds, is I do one against the wall and see how things are going. Like, much easier when you just do it in the middle of the room. So back to down dog when you get to your mat. Pressing the fingertips down into the ground, lift the head of the arm bones up, lift the inside part of your shoulders just a little faster than the outside. And then press the mat away. Good. Inhale, take the right leg up to the sky. Step forward into a lunge. And then take your back knee down to the ground. You're going to twist over your right leg. So turn to the right. Hook that left armpit down over the knee. And then open it up. Hands can come together. You can do other arm variations. If your armpit is over your knee, you can try to touch the floor. And then once you're there, just take a few breaths. Really get as much twist as you can while you're down, while your back knee is down. And then think, stabilize your front heel really strongly. You can lift your back knee off the mat if you want to go there. Think like you're more than just like hanging out in this pose. That front foot is driving down into the mat. There's always direction to like, where is the strength? Where is the stretch? And how are you creating that opening? Take a big breath, tipping your head back, opening your chest a little bit more. Good. Take the hands to the floor, change the legs. And the back knee can come down to just make it easier for you to twist in there. Right arm up, right armpit, so turn, and then try to cross and get as deep as you can in there. You have one more step to do the twist. From there, you got to open up. You got to push against the leg and turn your chest open to the side of the room. Hands can come together, whatever variation or depth you want to take it to. And before you make the move to lift that back knee, create all that steadiness. Ground through your front foot. Push down with the elbow into your thigh so your rib cage lifts and opens. And then you can try to take the back knee all the way up. And there's like no limit to how much that back thigh should lift. Like as much as you can get it to lift, that'll create space through that back hip. And then down into the front foot, push that front heel down. And that holds that separation and that opening. One more big breath as you lift the heart. Good. Hands to the floor, back again, downward facing dog. Take the right leg up to the sky. Go forward to plank pose. Bring the right knee to your chest. And do those active shoulder pieces. Push the mat away. See if you can really pull your knee up to your chest. And then go back down dog. Do that 2 more times. Inhale, go forward. So it's like more than the leg is hanging there. It's like really drive the knee up to your chest. Back to down dog 1 more time. And you can hold as long as you want, as long as you're able to. Forward again, plank. Pull the knee in, push the arms down, make the belly tight, make the back body open up. Step that right foot all the way down into a lunge. Mean. And then back knee to the floor. So from here, open for the twist. You're going to add the thigh stretch. But open up the belly as you work your way in there. Eventually taking hold of your back foot with your right arm, right hand. Yeah. Iron out the wrinkles in your shirt by the way you sit up taller, by the way you bring more air into your lungs and into your torso. If you can keep that twist in that space, you just lunge down into the floor a little further. Try to lunge forward as you go down. Good. And then let go of the foot. Make your way again back to downward dog. Good. Take the left leg up to the sky. Go forward to plank pose, knee to the chest. And the big detail that I'm trying to get out of you guys is just, less than like you're doing this all like knee forward, but it's really the up. It's like as much of that as you're able to find, and then back to down dog. Because that's the kind of compression strength that's needed in a lot of harder poses. Go forward again, knee to the chest. So hands push down. Even my other foot feels like I push down into the mat. So you have much tone. And then again, back dog pose. Last time, hold it forward. And knowing that I'm going to try to see if you can step your foot right into the lunge from here. Knee up, belly up, and then place the foot. Take the back knee down. And twist. So now, if open your abdomen, rotate, and then you can add thigh stretch from there. And it's, for a lot of us, it's like you're going to have to give away some of your positioning, your alignment to take hold of the foot. So once you do have the foot, then make those adjustments to get spacious and full in your body. Can you push your hips down into the floor, especially that like front outer left hip? Ugh. I know, I want to fake adjust, and then one more breath. Good. All right, let go of the foot, touch the floor, and head back to downward dog. Good. And then bend your knees, walk or jump to the front of your mat. Squat down, so you're going to lay on your back from here. Just setting up for bridge pose. Feet are hip distance apart. Heels are just a little bit away from your butt, so the knees are fairly bent. Press the arms down, lift the chest, and then lift the hips. As you get up higher and higher, you can work your shoulder blades towards each other a little bit. You can kind of wiggle them closer together. Keep a lot of weight in the back of your head, especially as you go even deeper. Like you're using your head to press the ground away. It shouldn't hurt your neck at all. It should feel good if you're in the right position. You're trying to keep the balance in the curve of your neck so that the front of your throat and the back of your throat are equally long. Generally, it's just like a little bit of a chin lift as you take it further, keeping the head pushing down, keeping the arms pressing down. When you release out of this, like you guys know how, take your butt to the floor, keep the head and the shoulders resisting. So you squeeze into those back muscles. And then you can rest, or you can repeat that a few times as you're getting it going. Yeah. Remember that I saw something the other day about, making some comment about how yoga teachers in the past have said, like, soften your glutes when you're doing a back bend like this, which is always kind of crazy because hip extension, the main driver for hip extension is your glutes, so that would seem like they need to do the work. But in the variations I'm teaching you into these back bend ones, they absolutely are engaging, but see if you can recruit more of your mid-back, upper back, so that you're using your spine more uniformly, more evenly. Again, you can go from here all the way up into wheel pose. I'm just going to give you a couple rounds to play with this. I'll show a few. So, again, head and shoulders push into the ground to access those upper back muscles, to strengthen them, to shorten them. And if you're going all the way up, it's going to be just another step further when you place the hands, work the top of your head. Nice. The goal in physically in all these poses is to stand in those shapes as easily as as comfortably as you would stand up tall. Not overworking or over tensing when you don't need to. So you're holding your body so that all the systems can flow most optimally. They talk about, your energy flow. Prana is one of the yoga terms for it, or we want this energy flow to be unimpeded throughout our system. Awesome. When you come down after that last back bend, you're going to start making your way, feet a little wider, knees to the right for windshield wipers. So once your knees point to the right, you can put your right foot on top of the left thigh. But opening your chest and reach energetically through your left kneecap. Like all the way up from the left side of your pelvis, you're trying to extend all the way down through the leg. Chest stays open, belly stays long. And then knees up and over to the other side. So point your knees to the left and put your left foot on top. Exactly. When, some of these actions that I know are hard to feel, like that stretch through your right knee, It's definitely not as simple as sometimes I make things sound. So when you try doing these and figuring out what that means for you, what that feels like, do it in little spurts, little by little. And mastery is when you could dial this up at a very slow, slowly getting more intense. It's a very incremental way you can turn on the muscles and let them go. That's something that's learned. That's a big thing when you see new students. It's like they can push and resist, or they crumble to the floor. That all the range of engagement takes some practice. Bring the knees back up to center, and then roll all the way up over to your side. You're just going to come up to sit. I think we're going to do this. Let's do it so you guys can turn. So you can turn to your right or wherever you want to be on your mat. So you can take your legs wide apart and still be mostly on your yoga mat. Ooh, if you're tight today like me and your legs are already turned out and you don't have the blanket to sit on, blankets are helpful. But again, if you're close and you're not quite there, if you do this, you take your hands to the ground, you lift your butt, then you really fire up your legs. Turn the toes straight up to the sky, and then drag your butt back and sit yourself down. And see if you can keep that, you might be able to hold in that position. Then, without your hands, tip yourself forward, trying to hold that action in the leg, these little seated good mornings. Push the legs down, come back up. Do several. Holding as long as you want to in the most intense part, making sure, of course, that you're keeping that consistency in the leg muscles, that consistent effort. Once you've done a few just straightforward, you can start to turn a little to one leg, and then you open up all different troubles that happen when you twist to one side. Like one of your legs wants to move, and then the more you can twist all the way over towards a leg, you can really get over there and bow. Good. And then come down through center. If you can grab hold of your feet, you can try this. If not, you can do it like this. It doesn't work quite as well. But if you can cup your heels or even grab the outside edges, if you're close, it's usually this. And you don't have to be as wide as you can be. So then bow. The more you bow forward, push your heels down, try to slide your butt back. And then you use your hands to pull the leg and try to push the leg back into the hip, keeping the legs heavy on the floor. Reach your heels back against your hands. Again, you can do that by holding your ankles and plugging in. But you will get a lot more power if you really cup the heel. But I know, for me, I have to shorten my stance. And you're giving yourself an adjustment that I would try to give you a lot of the times, trying just to help integrate. All right, walk yourself all the way over to your right leg. Keep your left leg pushing down. Pull your belly back as you work down into the twist here. Right waistline draws back. Left belly wraps across the leg in this fold. Trying to square your torso up with the leg you're folding down on this one. And if you think of it, it's two different movements. It's a side bend to the leg, but then it's also a rotation. That's what most people struggle to maximize. Come back through center. Walk over to the left leg. And sitting up taller will generally make it easier to figure it out. Your side bending is just orienting with the left leg, but then really rotating is your work as you fold down. Breathing into the back of your body, into where you feel the tightness in this stretch, keeping your left waistline pulled back as you're wrapping the right side in there. I guess that kind of helps. Good. And then come on back up. Swing yourself so you're facing the front of your mat, legs forward. I know, this is going to be a mean pose to set up in. So, right ankle, left knee like this. Because this can be a way to help if your hips are super tight in this position. So, you're going to push your foot and your ankle against that leg and make sure you can open and lift your chest. The image of, I would always call this the mud flap girls, like on those, which you don't see very often anymore, but that kind of image of making sure you're not concave in your chest, but that you're actually able to lift, and you might feel the way that works your hip. Now from there, you're going to kind of like wiggle this side to side a little bit. Eventually, I guess you guys are this way, so I'm kind of eventually dropping so that your left thigh hits the ground. And then trying to sit yourself up taller. Now, you might end up getting all the way towards like Agni Stambhasana, you might not. And then leaning back is going to be a better option for you as you're working with this. Always pushing the foot or the ankle down into the leg and then trying to move your inner thighs to the ground like you're kind of sticking your butt out. Good. And then rock yourself back up. And flip the leg so you're on the other side. Make this easier. Same deal. Lift the chest. And again, like the change in my upper body posture there directly affects where I'm feeling the stretch. It doesn't really do anything to my upper body, but it's stabilizing my spine and forcing that movement, that flexion into the hip. So once you have that shape, then you start to, rock it as if you're going to take yourself down to the floor. If you get stuck, you can the inner thigh on that left thigh is where you can push. You don't really want to push much on the knee. You can be careful if you're going to do any of that on the knee. But you can push pretty intensely at the top part of the thigh. And the idea is eventually to get these to lay flat on top of each other. Good. All right, and then undo it, straighten your legs out. Forward fold here, press the legs down, draw your belly in and fold. Make your quads tight so much that if you were to push fire up your quads so much, your heels might actually be able to lift off of the floor. You've got to be careful when you do that you are doing that. You're not just forcing the knee to straighten more, that you're actually engaging the muscles more, because you can take it too far. But it's an interesting little set to get that. And then lift your chest, come all the way up. Make sure you open up first and try to bring that position with you as you lay on the ground. You can kind of work down to forearms and then shoulders. but just keeping as much of this good posture as you get down there. Then all we're going to do from there is take a simple twist. So bend your right knee into your chest or in a little bit. Grab it with your left hand, twist across. Take the leg over. You can straighten that right leg, that twisting leg. Otherwise, you can keep it bent. Either way works. Take the head down into the ground, lifting your chest up a little more, making the shoulder stay heavy. And then back up to center. Release the leg out, bend your left leg in. Take it across your body and twist. And the left arm can either be down on the ground or reaching out away from your torso. And so it's manageable. So the amount of intensity you can engage with, that it's not overpowering you. Some deep breaths. Keeping the face relaxed. Nice. And then back up to center. Bring both knees into your chest. Give your legs a hug. So you can rock a little from side to side here. Make little circles, whatever might feel good. And then happy baby pose is reach up and grab your feet. So keep your knees a little wide as you start to pull the legs down. Yeah, same idea. A little bit of rocking might feel good, circular movements. Won't feel good if you catch some of the spinous process if it's on your backside. But if you're on those muscles, especially the muscles in the middle part of your back that tend to be a little thicker, might feel good. And then release the legs for Shavasana or sit up for seated meditation or any other meditation position that you like. And as you do go, whatever you're in, if you're sitting for meditation, if you're reclined for Shavasana, take those moments, check in as you just get your posture set to rest. Keeping your head right in neutral, right balanced with the rest of your spine. Even when it may feel like it's not right, you use your eyes, you can visually check your positioning and do your best. And as you rest here, allow yourself to sink heavier into the mat, to release and relax so much that even your breath gets quieter, your body feels like it's sinking. Softening those eyes and eyelids. And relaxing the muscles all through your face, through your jaw, between your eyes. Your shoulder. Begin to deepen your breath. Still with a restful quality that you're trying to preserve as you bring gentle movements into the body. So maybe you move a little and then pause. Eventually, you can make bigger and bigger movements, rolling yourself all the way over to your right side. And then when you do big movements, it's smart to pause for a moment so you let the body settle. And use your arms to bring yourself all the way up to that comfortable seated position. So when we're out of whack, when we're anxious, nervous, tense in some ways, how that can pull us into the front body, how that can close us and jut our neck forward. And when we feel relaxed, when we feel safe, when we feel comfortable, how we're able to open the front of our bodies and settle back a little more. So that reminder to yourself, full and spacious through the front of you, and gently leaning into the back of you, head back, shoulders back. Bring the hands together in front of your heart. Even like you notice the subtlety of the tendency of we bring the hands up, and again, our head wants to get pulled in towards the hands. Instead, think about lifting your heart up towards your hands, which should take your head back even a little bit more. You find just that optimal space where you feel clear, centered. And then acknowledging yourself, to the things we learn about the selves, to the way that we gain a better understanding of how to hold ourselves, how to adjust ourselves when we do feel off. So may we feel uplifted, may we use that to help uplift all. Take a nice big full breath in, and to your lifted heart, you can bow your head. Namaste.